Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. Very, very happy and blessed to be welcoming Kelly Williams. You know him as Prodigal Son, perhaps, or you know him from his own programming here on The Light. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Miss Susie. How are you?
I am well, Mr. Williams. And you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for calling this interview. I really do appreciate it. But I'm doing pretty good. No complaint.
Well, before what we're really going to be talking about, we've certainly gone through something as far as a global pandemic. Let me ask you about that. How did you and your family get through that?
COVID-19. COVID-19 was scary. I personally had gotten sick the first few weeks, and I was sick for about 3 weeks.
Yes.
I went through all the symptoms and everything, but I finally came through. No one in my family was affected by it, so we made it through. I think the most pressure came from working on an everyday basis and still having to deal with your kids being out of school, making sure they got their homework done. It was something different. So I think that was the biggest pandemic for us, personally.
And we were seeing that the numbers were completely wacky as far as different communities of people. And there seemed to be an inordinate high number of African American families affected by it. Your thoughts on that?
As a person who is African American descent, that does kind of hurt me because it makes me think just as a human being. Are they trying to kill us, or they're trying to kill us off, or they're trying to make exterminators, things of that sort. But on the other hand, I do look at us as a Black community. Just truth be told, sometimes we don't take things too seriously in the very beginning. We kind of brush it off and be like, we'll be okay, until it's too late, and then we finally figure out why we are sick, or we should have handled that a little bit different. I'm hoping and I'm praying that nothing as an ulterior motive is to get the Black community out of the United States. I really don't believe that.
No.
But there are people who feel otherwise.
And if you would have said that a week ago, I would have said, Kelly, come on, how can you even say that? But we've also gone through another national tragedy with George Floyd's murder, I'll just call it. And that has hit everybody very hard.
Yes.
So I'm having you on here so that we can, do some real talk, Kelly.
I appreciate it.
I think it's really important that we start to really, as a community, take this seriously. Again, a week ago, I would have said, racism, really, in the year 2020? Is that a thing? And I apologize from the bottom of my heart for having not realized that it really exists. And I think we've all gotten our eyes opened in a new way this week. So I just want to have you on to get a sense of how do we get from the talking about it to the doing something about it?
Well, first I want to thank you for your sentiments on that subject. And yes, it is a global epidemic that we as the Black community do deal with, and it's not just in 2020, not just in 2019. It's been happening for years upon years upon years. And what's making it more evident and truthful today is the video capturing of all of these events that are taking place. It does scare us as the Black community to be followed by the police. It does hurt us to a degree. I don't want to say hurt. It does scare us, puts us in fear when we are in a place to be the target, for example. It does hurt us when people do not listen to us and we're calling out racism, but we're put in positions to not speak about that, or we feel as if we do speak about it, we'll be ousted, we'll be blackmailed, no one wants to deal with us because we feel this particular way about a particular group of people. I personally have experienced racism, not only in Canton, Ohio, but in Florida and many places. Even as an entertainer's prodigal son, I faced it as well. I had to take a stance for our community in the sense from looking at it from all sides, being just that neutral person. Yes, I deal with it. Yes, I've gone through it. But at the same time, I realize that not all white people are bad. Not
Thanks.
all black people are bad.
Yes.
Not all policemen are bad.
Right.
But if we want to look at the injustice of things, if we're talking about the system, yes, black people are probably ran through the system a little more harsher than, their white counterpart. I remember a case in New York City where a white guy, he was caught with an enormous amount of cocaine and heroin and, meth. And this was just maybe not even 2 years ago. He received 5 years probation. Now, I've seen cases where within these same 2 years, black guys get years upon years for, weed and, violating a probation order or, just things like that. Today, I had a friend who I took up to the mayor's office, and, he had a conversation with them. He was looking to get a job. And shout out to Mayor Burnaby and Mayor Fine that they did, set him up with a job. But he told his story of why he had to go to prison for 10 years. He was involved with a white lady, and she got caught cheating. Well, I don't want to get into that, but he was given this amount of time because this lady told them that he raped her, and he's been on her for 10 years. He gets on court, but they did have an argument, and he was given 2 years for intimidating a witness because once he found out that he was getting hit with a rape charge from his wife, he didn't understand. So, of course, he called her and, wrote letters, and they said it was intimidating, so they gave him 2 years for that, gave him 5 years for domestic violence, putting her in fear, and because there was a child in the house, he was given another 3 years. So he did 10 years flat for that, and he did not even commit the crime.
Oh, my goodness.
So his record is tarnished and things like that. But us as a black community, we're in fear a lot of times. We go for jobs, and, sometimes we're put in the back end, even though we're more qualified than a lot of times. There's cases where sometimes we're like a trophy in the room, and those things don't feel good, even when we know that this is the motive. But as a black community, we feel as if we don't have a lot of opportunities for us, so we deal with it until we're just tired of dealing with it, and then it just ends up in an eruption that it is today. But when we talk about the injustices, it's not only in the police department, it's not only in the court systems, it's also in hospitals, it's also in schools, it's also in the regular everyday workplace, it's also at a gas station, it's everywhere in America. So we can't just put the light on police officers because they're not the sole problem. They're not the sole problem.
Oh, no.
Yes, a person commits a crime, but their punishment should not be death on the street.
And not everybody should be wearing a police uniform. Do you agree? Not everyone
I
should
totally
go
agree.
into that line of work.
I totally agree. I am so happy we have social media because now you can check the background of someone and you can actually tell their demeanor and how they move in life based on their comments, based on their pictures, based on people that they're with, based on things that they're doing. You can know what kind of person this person is. And so I really feel like, deeper background check really can't even dictate if a person is racist or not, whether they're black or white. You just got to check the movement of that person, or before you hire them, maybe pray. Even if you don't believe in God, God's still going to answer you because he's sovereign like that. So even if you have the biased opinion of, well, I'll hire you, the last black guy we hired did this. We're not all the same. We can't be put in the same category.
No.
And the truth about that, not every black person is a great athlete. Right? So just to put a little laughter to it, we're not all the same.
We're not all the same.
I can't play basketball for a lick. I can shoot, but I can't play. I wouldn't even try to go out for a team. But put me in the microphone, and I got you. Right?
Oh, yes, that's right. Absolutely. All day. It just seems to me that you have two different growing up experiences. You have a group of kids that grow up learning the police are our friends. The police are there to help us. They are helpers. And I know so many, overabundantly, that's true. But then there's going to be one person that goes into that field for the wrong reasons or for whatever.
Right.
They just shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
But then you also have in the black community, you've got parents having to have talks with their children about what to do in case you get pulled over. That's a conversation I never had to have with my boys. Talk to me about that. What do you tell your kids?
There's There's a Bible verse that says, "Train up a child in the way it is still. When they get older, they will not depart from it."
Yes.
Racism isn't. You're not born racist. You're taught racist.
No one is born
Just that.
racist.
Just right. Just as you're saying, we have to teach our children, how to be respectful to a police officer. Well, my kids know how to be respectful to people in general.
Mm-hmm.
But like you stated, we should not have to tell them how to conduct themselves when they're pulled over by a police officer or when a police officer is behind them. We could be totally fine. I could have my driving record is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
I have no warrants. I have nothing wrong with my life. And I know I've made a huge significant change in my life. But I know I have the kind of car that I have. I'm a target just by the kind of car that I have. They would think I'm a drug dealer or something, and I'm not. I'm an everyday working man. I just like these types of things, right? I'm these type of things.
Yeah, it's completely different.
And we're not, it's hurtful that we have to teach our children these things. It's something that we never thought we'd be in this day and age again. No. 2021.
I know. That's why it's just mind-blowing to me. The streets, the news, it looks like the 60s again. It looks like 1968 all over again. And I'm thinking, 50 years later, how are we still here? It's a spiritual problem, isn't it, Kelly?
Mm-hmm. I believe so it is. A lot of times, people say things that, a person becomes a police officer because he's bullied in school. I don't think that. I wanted to be a police officer because I wanted to stop people from doing bad things. But it is a spiritual thing because each individual officer, or every person on the planet has a spirit. Every person on the planet has a soul. Every person has a decision to give their life to God or not. And I believe that if you give your life to God, man, your mentality is not going to be the same. It will never be the same. You would think twice. You would have more empathy. You would have sympathy. You would just not want to do these things because you realize at one point, remember the wristbands, WWJD? What if everybody wore those and really paid attention to that? What would Jesus do? Bracelets. I feel maybe we might be in a different position today. I can't tell you why we're still in 1960. 1950, 1940. I can't tell you why we're still in the slave eras, but I really can't. I wish I had an answer and I wish I had a solution. But I think my solution is every person's individual. To be totally honest, racism is going to be here forever because the people who are racist now are teaching their children not to like black people, not to like Spanish people, not to like a certain group of people, and it just doesn't make sense to me. And it just doesn't make sense. It's crazy that May 31st in the 60s was Black Wall Street when it was burned up. May 31st in 2020, the same thing's occurring.
Yes. Unbelievable. It seems to me that if you just get to know a person, just meet a person and get to know them, and what are their likes and dislikes? What are their dreams? What are their hopes and dreams? What are their fears? Get to know that person as a person, and it really makes a difference, doesn't it? As far as how we relate to everyone and how different people of different skin colors relate to each other.
It does. It does.
Our pastor said something very interesting just on Sunday, that we've tried to be colorblind, and that was a mistake. We've tried to live in unison, but we should be living in harmony. How different that is, to take the differences and how beautifully they blend together as a people, as God's creation, that He saw right to make us all different shades. Truly, we're all brown. We're just very different shades of brown. And so we're all the same color, just different shades of the same color. That should never be a divider. That should be something that merges and meshes so beautifully together in His creation. I want to hand it to you and get your thoughts on that. Harmony rather than unity.
Harmony and unity, I think, is the key. But like I said, that if a person understands human life, man, you should just have empathy. You should have sympathy. You should have love in your heart already. It takes more to hate somebody than to love somebody, to like somebody. It takes more to hate me than to like me. Because every time you see me, you have to build up that hate in order to not like me at that moment. At all, period. Like you can't be in a... I mean, you said it best. It's love and unity that's going to conquer everything. If people would just do that, I think we'd be in a better position. Yes, as people, we have disagreements, but we don't hate a person because they don't agree with us about something specifically. That's not what we should do. If we don't do those things, we would not be in a position that we're in now. My prayer and my hope is that those people who are in the closet racist, or those who are just blatant racist about it, maybe I hope they could just think twice and ask themselves, why am I racist? Most races don't even have a reason. They just don't like something. But like you stated, if you just talk to somebody, it's like a food that you don't want to try because it looks a certain way. You're like, that's probably going to be nasty. I don't want to eat it. I don't like that, right? But you might take an opportunity, like, let me just taste it. And then you really like it. Yeah. I was that way with okra. I hated okra because it looked nasty. But I tasted it one day. I was like, oh, my God, this is pretty good. I like it, right? So it's the same thing that you said. If we just take the time to talk to people, get to know, our neighbors, get to know the people that we're around every single day. Mm-hmm. I mean, just start a conversation, man. You would be wowed at the commonality that we have amongst each other.
So good.
It's just a different skin color.
Right. We're talking to Kelly Williams, talking about everything going on in our community right now. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community. Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas speaking with Kelly Williams. Kelly, tell us when we can hear you here on The Light. You've also got a TV show. Let's talk about it a little bit.
Yes. Oh, man.
Yeah. Tell us.
I'm really, really grateful of all the things that are, taking place. I am on The Light with the innovative, creative, high energy show. It's called the Alternative Radio Show with Prodigal Son and Carla every Friday at 9:30 p.m. and on Saturdays at 8 o'clock p.m. on 95.9 FM. And we just been blessed with another platform. I have another youth interactive show. It is called Kingdom Culture with Prodigal Son. And the debut air date is June 29th, 2020 on the Now Network. Mm-hmm. And, of course, when it starts to air, we would definitely be letting you guys know so you can tell the community about it, because I think it's the first TV show that's actually going to be produced out of our area,
Awesome.
So
awesome.
I have to give a huge congratulations to Compassion Delivered Church, because they are allowing us to use their youth room as our set for the TV show.
That's so awesome. So cool.
Yes.
All right, well, we will be tuning into all of that.
Thank you.
Let's get back to, the serious stuff. Now, you said start a conversation. I'm just going to say some words now, and I really hope I don't offend anyone. This is a tough conversation to start. How do you just start a conversation about race with your friends of color? I mean, we talk about recipes, we talk about kids, we talk about life. And I've never said I've got so many girlfriends that we do girlfriendy things together. I've never said, let's talk about race. How do you do that?
Well, are you talking about if I have me as a black man, or if I was a white man, how do I talk to my black friends about racism?
Yes.
Or just a general conversation?
How do we talk to our black friends about black and white issues?
Don't. Just be you. We're not asking our white friends for an apology from things people have done before. I put a post up just yesterday, and I said, in essence, not all white people are bad people. Shout out to the ones that I think are really great people. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
There's no right way to start that conversation. No. I guess in today's times we could say something like, aren't these riots crazy? Like, what do you think about it?
Yeah.
And then maybe just start the conversation that way. Just be you, or just be you.
You feel like you're being impolite. Can I just say that? You feel like, you just feel like, well, that's not polite conversation. Let's talk about all the things we've got, in common.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, Susie, you guys may have that in commonality that both of you are not racist. That's a commonality.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. I mean, I figure we're not. I don't think I am. I am very grateful to my parents who, and I've said this earlier this week, When we were very young kids, our church was Central Presbyterian in Massillon, Ohio, and they did Bible school with Friendship Baptist Church in Massillon,
Yeah.
Ohio. So we became great friends deliberately. There was intentionality there that we would all just become friends. We were so little, and we just did. And I'm so grateful for that experience. We had a couple of young nursing students who were, at the time, the country was called the Belgian Congo. I think it might be Kenya now or Libya. It's one of the African nations, but it was called at the time the Belgian Congo. And Grace and Sophie were two nursing students that would come and stay with us, and they were babysitters. And I was sure, Kelly, that they were my cousins. I was sure that they were my cousins because of, just the relationship we had, the relationship I saw with my family and everything, and the way they treated. I was sure we were related. And then one of the kids on the block said, no, you are not related. And I was a little devastated by that. But I was raised in a way to not see it, if that makes any sense. But
Yes.
what I want to do now, I think that's the wrong. I mean, I think it's meant well. It's meant to be a good thing. But I think what I want to do now is see and appreciate all the differences. Really appreciate the differences. And I'm thinking there might be cultural differences. You talk about food, stuff like, just things that are handed from one generation to the next. Let's celebrate all of it. Let's see, wow, God made a much fuller, awesome experience to life than we really realize until we are truly appreciating each other for all that we are. I want to talk about the demonstrations taking place. Canton's been pretty good. Friday got a little crazy, but they've been trying to keep it pretty peaceful. Your take on what's being accomplished in downtown right now?
Well, right now, my office is downtown, so I know there are a couple rallies that are going on today, but these are from, older people, organizations that are within Stark County. And I think those will go pretty well. Yes, we did have a couple nights of rallies, and the first night, there was some tear gas sprayed and some rubber bullets shot. But since then, I don't think there's been any kind of the sort of the same thing. Well, Canton, I'm very happy about Canton because in my opinion, I think most people were just going on live and starting these rallies, man, just to say I was a part of it too. And like you said, it only takes one to spark something on the positive or negative. But our police department did a great job at, handling everyone. Unfortunately, Officer Lamar Sharp's van was vandalized, and we just didn't understand why someone would do that to Officer Lamar when they know, in fact, what he's all about, right? Of all people.
Yes.
But you asked me a question earlier about if I think, will racism ever end? I in my heart, I don't think it'll ever end, but I think it will get better. As I looked at the protesting that's been going on for the past, week or so, most of the protesters out there have not been, it's been, I would say, an even balance of black and white, but more white than black, especially in Canton, Ohio.
Wow.
We've had more white people coming out and supporting, the Black Lives Matter movement more than the black community.
Wow.
And when I look at that, I say, you know what? When you asked me that question, I thought about it, and it came later. Racism may have a better chance of being vacated in the next 10 years because these kids are going to have children.
Yes.
And if they're not racist, then they're not going to teach their kid racism. In Stark County, it was really mind-blowing to me. I could say, how can someone be racist in Stark County when half the relationships are interracial?
Right. Yes. True.
So if you hate white people or black people, why are you in a relationship with one?
Yeah.
And if you really want to get deep about it, everybody should have a racism problem if they looked at it this way. Because God didn't create everybody the same. Everybody's individual. So if you don't like me, then for whatever reason, why do you like the other person when they're more different than you because they're not built like you? They're the same color. It's stupidity. Like, do you hate black cat? Do you hate black dog? Do you hate black food? Like, do you hate pepper? No. So why do you hate black people? I really don't know. So, and you should probably vacate your thoughts of not liking black people because of our color.
The
And that's the thing that hurts us.
Yes. The more I read about George Floyd, he was a man of God. He was working
Hmm.
for the Salvation Army. He
Yep.
was all about sharing the gospel. He was completely anti-violence of any kind. And I think it's devastating to his family right now, I think, for these riots to be called the George Floyd riots. To have his
Right.
name attached to something violent is an affront to who he was, not only disrespectful or not honoring, but an affront to what he was all about. Your thoughts on that?
I don't think. I mean, it's great that the whole wide world went behind him.
Mm-hmm.
George went behind George, but calling it the George riots, that's making it seem as if he was the cause of all of it. It's making it seem like if he wouldn't have been hurt or killed, these things wouldn't be taking place. I believe if that wouldn't have been captured, there was going to be something else captured, and it was going to happen regardless. I don't think God does anything to us that's going to harm us as a whole, people. I think everything that's done, whether it's negative or positive, is something that's going to help us as a whole, as a community. But we also have to remember we can't blame everybody on something that happens, because we also make decisions ourselves that could put us in situations that will cause, a traumatic ending. Yes, the murder was wrong. Having his knee on his neck for all that time, and he's telling you can't breathe, and then for someone to say, look, you say you can't breathe, then you can't breathe. How many times have you been playing or being tickled and you can't breathe, but you can get it out? I can't breathe, right? That happens. Everyone has experienced that. So to be that insensitive to say something like that, that really just rubs me the wrong way. So that made me think back to the guy in New York City who was choked and said, I can't breathe. There were some cigarettes and CDs that was being sold. Makes me think back to the Rodney King incident. It makes me think back to many incidents that has occurred. So if that would have been captured, something else would have been captured, and it would have been a rampage. And I think this was also tied into Ahmaud when he was killed, the jogger. And they killed him in February, but no one said anything. And we're in at that time we were in May, and now you're being arrested? Like, come on, man. That was just straight disrespect. Like, that means everybody in the whole place, this whole city knew about it, but no one said anything because it was an all-white community.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
It truly is. If there's any kind of a silver lining, I don't know anybody who has said anything other than this was a horrible, horrible thing to have happen. And
Yes.
If there's something good to come out of it, it can be. It's got the potential of being a real unifying kind of event that
Right.
brings us all together against evil. And we've had two in a row. If anything ought to bring us all together, it's fighting off a germ, as we have with the last 3 months
Right.
with a global pandemic, followed by this. We're having opportunities, if we take them, to work together. What do you think?
I really believe that. If we would take the time to work together, I think a lot of things would be taken care of and handled. And we wouldn't have the problems that we have today. I honestly believe that. I honestly do.
Yep.
I mean, you said it earlier. If we would just talk to somebody,
Yeah.
get to know them. That's why I hold the events with Prosecutor Ferrara's office, the Hip Hop Against Violence event. We do them all summer, every summer. And, we feed the people, and it's nonviolent. The music we play is uplifting. It's gospel, it's regular music, but it's all clean and uplifting. And it's a great time. And there's black people, there's white people, and everyone's conversing. I always thought that. I said crime would be less in our communities if the people knew each other.
Yes. Amen. Well, Kelly, we'll continue listening to you and be watching for you soon, coming up very soon. And Kelly Williams, thank you so much for all you give to our community.
Susie, I appreciate you. I thank you guys over at the Lights, for the opportunities and this opportunity for this interview as well.
God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you as well. Thank you.